Okay guys, now let's see this code that we are having here. The questions are related to the inheritance, and the first question is saying that okay, you are having here a class which is a super class, and this super class is having one method by the name s method, right? And this s method is taking as an argument a name, then it is saying that print name. So whatever the name you are having here means whatever you are receiving here as a argument, means this is a parameter, right? So same parameter we are passing here can code, right? Then there is here this class parent class, and which is inherent in the properties of a superclass, means it is inherent in the property like this s method here as well. But this parent class is having one a constructor is not receiving any argument here. Yeah, I can say parameter here, right? But here what it is having, self dot a is equal to input, means it is taking the input from the user. Getting this point? Then it is calling this method s method here to print the value here, right? I'm saying super, you know that using a super class I can call any function that is present here, right? So from here we are calling this s method, and s method we are passing here a as well, means whatever you are receiving from the user here as an a input, you are passing to this name here, right? Then you are saying print name can do programming, right? And here you are having again the def method, c method self print comma dash is a good program, dash is a bad program. Okay, let's move to the thing here, and it's saying that parent class method c method consists of the conditional logic as shown in the test case, along with an argument. If condition becomes true, if argument starts with a character a or capital character. What they might mean by that? Bars is a bad programmer. He's a good programmer. We have to see what is the condition. If condition becomes true, if argument starts with character a or capital A, reverse. Okay, I guess they are saying that if you are receiving a small a or a capital A, the first character is small a or a capital A, then you have to say that he is a good programmer. If there is some other thing, you have to say it is a bad programmer. Okay, so I will go here, and we know here what I can say here. I will say if self dot a, because we know the input that user is providing me, that is stored in here in a, that means this bar is stored in self dot a. So I will say here self dot a ka location 0 if it is equal to yeah, I will say simply here in, and I will say a small a capital A, right? If the first character yani ki b is present in this small a or a capital A, then I will say here self dot a is a good programmer, else I'll say here self dot a is a bad programmer, self dot a is a bad programmer. That's it. And यहाँ पे it is calling this method here, sorry, create the object of this parent class here, right? And then it is calling this c method here, right? So now if I submit it, there is something colon missing here, so I will put here the colon. That's it. Now if I submit it, all test cases are passed. I hope you understood this question, right? So here is the condition, they have not wrote it properly, right? The condition is here, hint is given here. If condition becomes true, it if argument starts with the character a or the capital A, means if this a is starting with a, like here Ankush, what is the first character of Ankush? That's a, right? So I am checking that is the first character present in a small a or a capital A, right? You can also put it like this, if self dot a of 0 is equal to small a, or self dot a of 0 is equal to capital A, then you can do this thing, right? This is also possible. Let's move to the next one. Okay, you are having a question here, that is the name of n person. Create a class name person with a first name and the last name properties and print name method, right? So you have to create a person class which is having the first name and the last name, and it is also having a print method over there. And also create a class named student which will inherit the properties and methods from the person class, right? So inheritance is happening here. Student class to create a and then execute this thing. Okay, let's see here. So what they have to see here, John, Calvin, this John, Neil. Okay, that's it. Okay, so here what they are taking is they are taking the input from the user, that's n, means how many names you will give me. Like here it is giving the one name, first name, second name, right? Here it is also first name, second name. Here it is saying 2. First it will give me Calvin, then this Clem, then John, Neil, right? So here this is the for loop. If you will see here, they are creating the object of the student class, right? But here they are passing the 2 inputs as well. Like here it's an input, asking the user for the input, asking the user for an input, means they are asking for this first name and second name, last name, right? And this is being forwarded to this student class, right? First let's do something with the student class. So what I will do here is, for this student class is inheriting the properties of a person class, that's it, right? And if you can see here, the question is saying that use the student class to create an object, then execute the print name of the n. And if you can see here, they have created here underscore init underscore, means if student class is inheriting the properties of person class, so by default this will be executed. Like here, when they are calling this of a student class, since student class is inheriting the properties of person class, that means this code will be automatically executed, right? Then means here this input will go here, this input will go here. So I will write here the code. Let me remove this thing here. So what I will say here is self is the first thing. Let's say I will say first name Fn, last name Ln, right? And let me write the code here, and here I will say self dot Fn, yeah, first name first first name is equal to Fn, and self dot last name is equal to Ln, right? So whatever the user is giving me the input as a name, storing it in Fn, whatever the user is giving me the input name, storing it in Ln, right? So यहाँ पे init लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, क्यों? क्योंकि वो क्या होगा, method overriding होगा, right? So method overriding तो हमें यहाँ पे करनी नहीं है, right? So as of now I will say here pass, ठीक है? Then print name, if you can see here, it's saying x print name and it's not passing any argument here. अगर यहाँ पे कोई आर्गुमेंट पास करा होगा तो यहाँ पे वो आर्गुमेंट हमें लेना चाहिए था, राइट? सो बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट वी नो सेल्फ तो आता ही आता है सेल्फ, राइट? क्या यहाँ से कोई आर्गुमेंट आ रहा है? नहीं आ रहा है ना, सो यहाँ पे आपको लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, बट यहाँ टू यू हैव टू प्रिंट इट हियर. सो व्हाट आई विल से इज प्रिंट and let's go with the f string, and I will say your first name. So how to access the first name? I will say here self dot first first name, right? And space, then I will say here self dot last name, sel self last last name last name. That's it. Okay, I guess this program will execute now and all test cases are passed. Getting this point? अब ये लूप क्या है यहाँ पे? अगर आपने यहाँ से 2 दिया, लेट्स से यहाँ पे इसने 2 दिया है, n इज इक्वल 2 फॉर i इन रेंज 2, दैट मीन्स ये लूप कितनी बार चलेगा? 2 बार चलेगा. सो पहले फॉर n जब आपका i इज 0, रेंज 2 इज 0 लेस देन 2, येस, x इज इक्वल टू स्टूडेंट, creating the object of the student class, and I am passing here input and input. That means this input, it will take the input from the user, that is this Calvin, and input here, that is this Clem, right? So ये दोनों Calvin and Clem यहाँ से जा रहा है, वो कहाँ पे स्टोर होगा? Fn and Ln में, right? So since I need this first name Fn and Ln in my print class, print name as well, ये Fn यहाँ पे लोकल वेरिएबल है, ये Ln यहाँ पे लोकल वेरिएबल है, तो यहाँ पे मैं क्या क्रिएट कर रहा हूँ? एट्रीब्यूट्स कर रहा हूँ, फर्स्ट नेम एंड लास्ट नेम, राइट? एंड यहाँ पे डेफ प्रिंट नेम तो दिया हुआ था, बस उनको यहाँ पे डायरेक्टली प्रिंट करना है, तो यहाँ पे मैंने वो प्रिंट कर लिया, राइट? दैट्स इट. लेट्स मूव द नेक्स्ट वन. Okay, now we are having here one more thing here. Parent class define a method. The functionality of the method is to return the even elements. It is returning the odd elements. The child class is sorting from high to low, right? So if you can see here is they are taking the input from a user, int x for x in input split, means कि user is giving something like this 33, 22, 1, इसका ये list बना रही है, right? Then it is saying that obj is equal to grandchild. It is creating the object of a grandchild. Then obj dot even l1 passing here this list. Then print statement obj and l1. Then print list obj this शॉर्ट लिस्ट देन दिस. बट यहाँ पे आपको दिया हुआ है कि हर एक पेरेंट फंक्शन में क्या है? इवन, चाइल्ड में क्या है? ऑड, और ग्रैंड चाइल्ड में क्या है? सॉर्ट. सो लेट्स गो विद दैट. सो यहाँ पे पेरेंट इन्होंने दिया हुआ है, क्या यहाँ पे कंस्ट्रक्टर होगा? नहीं, कंस्ट्रक्टर नहीं है। क्यों? क्योंकि यू आर श्योर हियर अगर यहाँ से कुछ आर्ग्यूमेंट दिया होता ड्यूरिंग ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएशन देन वी आर प्रीटी मच श्योर या तो यहाँ पे कंस्ट्रक्टर है, या तो यहाँ पे कंस्ट्रक्टर, या तो यहाँ पे कंस्ट्रक्टर है। सो एज ऑफ नाउ यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं दिया है, तो वी आर लिटिल बी इन अ डाउट, या हो भी सकता है या नहीं भी हो सकता है। सिंस यहाँ पे एज ऑफ नाउ वी विल से नहीं हो सकता, सो आई विल से हियर डेफ, एंड डेफ के बाद आई विल से हियर even 11, दिस even 11, so even and here I will say self comma it is also receiving this argument here, if you can say here li, तो तभी मैंने यहाँ पे li लिखा। so I will say here colon and here I will say सेल्फ डायलाई करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। सो आई विल से हियर फॉर, अब मैं फॉर क्यों कर रहा हूँ, बिकॉज दे हैव यूज द प्रिंट स्टेटमेंट हियर, दे आर ब्रेकिंग दिस थिंग। जब आपने ये इवन वाले प्रिंट किए ना सारे सेपरेटेड बाय स्पेस 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 राइट, फिर ये ब्रेक करने हैं। मैं यहाँ पे क्या लिखूँगा, फॉर val in li right, then I will say here print for val in li I will say here if val percentile 2 is equal to 0, if this is the case, so what I will say is print, and here I will say val comma and is equal to double quote and space, right, that's it। and यहाँ पे it is inheriting the properties of parent class, so I will say here parent, that's it, write the missing code here, so I will say here def, and यहाँ पे आपको क्या define करना है, odd element, so I will say here odd ele right, and it is also taking the self as an argument comma, and I will say here li again because यहाँ से pass हो रहा है as an argument, so I will say here same thing for val in li, and here I will say if val percentile 2 is not equal to 0, if this is the case, so what I will say is print val and comma and is equal to double quote का space, right। so why I am saying here double quote space, because the reason is this, यहाँ पे इन्होंने print यूज़ किया है तो सारे एलिमेंट्स इसी लाइन में प्रिंट हो जाएंगे, फिर उस लाइन को आप ब्रेक करके न्यू लाइन में जा रहे हो, जैसे ये 22 44 68 88 स्पेस, ये सारे एक ही लाइन में प्रिंट होंगे क्योंकि प्रिंट मैं कर रहा हूँ एंड इज इक्वल स्पेस। जैसे ही आपने ये प्रिंट स्पेस किया उसके बाद क्या करना है, ब्रेक करना है ये ताकि आप नए लाइन में जाओ, फिर ये प्रिंट हो जाए, तभी दे हैव यूज्ड हियर दिस प्रिंट स्टेटमेंट। ओके, now this grandchild is there and grandchild is inheriting the properties of a child class, so I will say here child, that's it। and यहाँ पे what you can do here is I will say here, वहाँ पे क्या करना था, ये करना था right sort में, so I will say print sorted and sorted कहाँ करना है, पहले तो we have to create a method here, what is the method name, sort list, so I will say here def sort sort list list, and I will say li here, that's it, and I will say here print sorted li right comma reverse is equal to reverse reverse is equal to true, right, that's it। यानी यहाँ पे क्या लिखेंगे हम, self be the, okay, so I hope this will run। line number this colon is missing, what is missing saying, def given 11 inheritance line number 4 some index number line number 4 line number 4 line number 4, is this correct or not? This should be correct. Is it because of this indentation error? Let me give here the indentations as a tab because it's a mix of this thing, maybe that can be the case। and then here also maybe, let's see now। okay, now it is saying line number 13, let me remove these spaces because the mix of these tabs and spaces. Okay, so I am just clearing them out. All right, now let's submit it, and all test cases are passed. Got it? Now that's it. I hope you understood this question as well. Okay, let's move to the next one. Now someone will say, sir, why you are not using the self dot here? Because self dot we do need here. If you want, you have to do then something like this. You have to do self dot li and is equal to li. Then you can say here self dot li, self dot li, right? This you can do, but since it's a local variable, so we can directly utilize it. No one is inheriting it, no one is printing it, so this is one of the case also, right? So it can, you can also do it like this. Let's move to the next one. And here it is saying that create a class named person whose constructor method has first name and last name as an argument. Also define a print name. Okay, so यहाँ पे you have to create a class person who is having the inheritance here, and it is using the first name. So first I will say self here, first name I'll say fn, and last name say I will say ln, right? So let's make them like this. Okay, this is throwing an error now, you know it, right? Okay, so once I'm here, so what I will do here is I will say self dot first name first first name is equal to fn, and self dot last name is equal to ln. So that's it, right? Obviously this will be having the self here because it's a method of this class, so I will say self here. Now is it taking any argument? Define as a first name that prints. Okay, it is just the doing the printing. So what I will say here is I will say something like this, def, and यहाँ पे what I will say, def तो लिखा हुआ है, right? Def is written over there, so maybe because of this error might come. Let me remove these things as well, right? And what we have to do here is we have to print first name and last name, so by combination of the first name and last name, that's it now. Okay, let me provide the first name combination. So I will say here print and I will say here self dot first name of first and name space comma करके self dot last name, that's it. And this guy is inheriting the properties of person class person, and that's it. Whether the student is having anything there, and also create a class student which has the properties or something, call the print name method using the child class student. So okay, so यहाँ पे they are creating the object and they are calling the by this as well. So I will say here pass because it's calling the print name directly, right? So if I submit it, there is some error, and error is saying the index error, line number 9. What is the index error? Just remove this thing, that's it. Okay, now if I submit it, now all my test cases are passed. Okay, so I hope you understood this thing as well. Let's move to the next one. Okay, this is the fifth one, and we already did it. Okay, this is already done. Okay, there is some error. Line number 90, 12. Line number 12 is this line. So what I will say is this thing, that's it. If I submit it, there is something wrong, and you say Aman can do coding, Aman is a bad programmer. You say Aman is a good programmer, Aman is a bad programmer. Okay, there is something missing, we have to do here. Okay, it is saying that superclass parent class, I guess we did this question now already. Dog can smell, dog can bark. Okay, it is saying that if condition is this, B or AB, so we have to write the condition here. So I will write something like this, if self dot a 0 in B or capital B, then I will say self dot is a good programmer, and else I will say here this thing is a bad programmer. That's it. If I submit it, okay, there is something wrong, that is colon, I am missing it always. Now if I submit it, all my test cases are passed, right? So you can see here the construction, it is the same as the first one जहाँ पे वो अंकुश का था, where it was saying the name must be A or capital A, right? It is the same one, just यहाँ पे you have to write the if else in the C method. Okay, let's move to the next one. just read the questions. I'm doing it quickly because video is getting long because of that reason. It is saying that this define a class, base class calculation. This exponent prints the power of the first integer to the second integer. My calculation with a floor. Okay. यहाँ से if you can see that x taking the input from the user, creating a object class my class is this one, but here it is passing the x and y, and they are also saying that this my class is inheriting the properties of a calculation, calculation, right? And since यहाँ पे आप x and y पास कर रहे हो तो यहाँ पे init नहीं है, यहाँ पे init है, so कौन सा init function call हो जाएगा, parent class का, right? So it is taking the two arguments, self, I will say here x comma y, these are the two things. So maybe x we need in the somewhere, so I will say here self dot x is equal to x, and I will say here self dot y is equal to y, right? That's it. And यहाँ पे आप क्या करना है, कुछ नहीं करना है, यहाँ से एक्सपोनेंट, ओके, इट्स सेइंग दैट a डॉट एक्सपोनेंट x कमा y, सो यहाँ से भी ये आर्ग्यूमेंट भेज रहा है कौन सा, x और y के लिए. सो राइट, व्हाट आई विल डू हियर इज सेल्फ कमा x कमा y डायरेक्टली. तो यहाँ पे भी भेज रहा है क्योंकि यहाँ पे ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट हो रहा है, ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएशन के टाइम इट इज़ पासिंग सम एलिमेंट्स हियर, आर्ग्यूमेंट्स हियर. तो ऑब्वियसली अगर यहाँ पे ये एग्जीक्यूट हो रहा है बाय डिफॉल्ट हमारा कंस्ट्रक्टर तो एग्जीक्यूट होगा ही होगा. कंस्ट्रक्टर हमारा यहाँ पे क्या ले रहा है, एक्स एंड वाई. अब यहाँ पे ले भी सकते हो, नहीं भी ले सकते हो. इफ आई विल डू समथिंग लाइक, ओके, बहुत द तरीका दिखाऊंगा, राइट? बट व्हेन इट इज डूइंग दैट a डॉट एक्सपोनेंट x कमा y means it is calling this exponent at the time as well, it is passing here x and y, it's passing here x and y. so यहाँ पे मैं कैच करूँगा और यहाँ पे मैं क्या लिखूँगा, so I will say something like this, उसका पावर करना है. so I will say here यहाँ पे print यूज़ किया तो I will use here return, and return में क्या करूँगा, सेल्फ की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है, I will say x raised power y, right? That's it. and यहाँ पे what you have to do is float division. if you will say float division, यहाँ पे भी x and y भेज रहा है, so what I will say here is I will say here self is the first thing comma x comma y, that's it. and missing code में what I will use here is return x flow division by y, right? I hope this will get executed or all the test cases are passed, right? अब आप यहाँ पर बोलोगे सर हम सेल्फ डॉट एक्स तो यूज़ ही नहीं कर रही है, यहाँ तो आर्ग्यूमेंट में भेज रहा है. कोई बात नहीं, आपको यहाँ पे जस्ट कुछ नहीं कर दो, पास भेज लिख दो फिर एंड सबमिट कर दो, स्टिल इट विल वर्क. बट इफ़ यू विल डू दिस थिंग, आप बोलोगे सर यहाँ पे नहीं रखेंगे एक्स एंड वाई तो क्या होगा, चेक द आउटपुट नाउ. इफ आई विल डू दिस थिंग, नाउ इट इज सेइंग द एरर इज कमिंग, इट इज सेइंग दैट calculation underscore init takes one positional argument but 3 were given, right? ये बोल रहा है यहाँ पे तो एक ही आर्ग्यूमेंट ले रहा है, बट आप ना यहाँ से दो और दे रहे हो, मैं एक्स्ट्रा दो दे रहे हो एक्स एंड वाई के लिए, राइट? सो इसके लिए हम यहाँ पे एक्स एंड वाई रख रहे हैं. इफ़ यू आर हैविंग द बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द क्वेश्चन, सो ऑब्वियसली यू विल अंडरस्टैंड इट. यहाँ पे मैं क्यों लिख रहा हूँ ये एक्स कमा वाई, राइट? सो दैट दिस एक्स एंड वाई विल बी स्टोर्ड हियर, एंड यहाँ पे हम पास कर रहे हैं, कुछ भी नहीं कर. यहाँ तो इसको हटा ही लो, सीधे सिंपल बात, इनिट को हटा लो. नहीं तब भी एरर आ जाएगा, ये तो रखना ही पड़ेगा. या तो यहाँ पे सेल्फ डॉट एक्स कर लो इज इक्वल वाई, या तो पास रख दो, राइट? दिस इज द टू ऑप्शंस दैट यू कैन हैव हियर, राइट? दैट्स इट. लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट वन. Okay, the next one is here that parent class functionality methods even elements, odd elements, sorted low to high. It is like the previous one, same way. यहाँ पे ग्रैंड चाइल्ड को कॉल कर रहा है, राइट? इस फंक्शन को कॉल रहा है, देन 11 को कॉल कर रहा है. सो फर्स्ट थिंग फर्स्ट, लेट्स डू द इनहेरिटेंस. सो इनहेरिटेंस वी आर यूजिंग हियर, सो आई विल से ये पेरेंट, एंड यहाँ पे आई विल से चाइल्ड, CHILD, चाइल्ड. तो इनहेरिटेंस हो गई, एंड इवन 11 आप यहाँ पे रख दोगे. सो आई विल से हियर डेफ, सेम नेम, EVEN ELE सॉरी, एंड आई विल से हियर सेल्फ कॉमा LI, दैट्स इट. यहाँ पे सेम प्रिंट ये यूज़ कर रहा है, तो यहाँ पे मैं क्या करूँगा, प्रिंट नहीं करूँगा, आई विल यूज़ द फॉलो एज आई डू इट प्रीवियसली फॉर वैल इन LI, एंड आई विल से हियर इफ़, पहले चेक करेंगे क्या इवन है या नहीं. सो आई विल से इफ़ वैल परसेंटाइल 2 इज इक्वल टू 0, अगर वो 0 के बराबर है दैट मीन्स इट्स एन इवन. सो आई विल से हियर प्रिंट, एंड आई विल से हियर वैल, सिंस मुझे एक ही लाइन में इनको प्रिंट करना है इवन नंबर्स को, सो आई विल से हियर एंड इज इक्वल टू डबल कोट का स्पेस, राइट? सिमिलरली यू विल डू हियर एज वेल डेफ, एंड यहाँ पे यू विल से ऑड, ODD ELE, एंड सेल्फ कॉमा LI, and here what I will say is for val in li, and here I will say if val percentile 2 is not equal to 0, right? तो यहाँ पे मैं क्या करूँगा प्रिंट, एंड चलो यहाँ पे इक्वल टू नहीं करेंगे, हम यहाँ करेंगे वैल परसेंटाइल 2 इज इक्वल टू 1, वो भी है ऑड, राइट? दिस इज ऑल्सो द केस. सो आई विल से हियर वैल कमा and is equal to double quote का space, that's it. And child में what you have to do sorted, so I will say here def sort, sort sort list list, and I will say here self comma li, that's it. And यहाँ पे what I will say is print sorted sorted, and I will say here li. Now if I submit it, all my test cases are passed, right? Let's move to the next one. See the next question. The next question is saying that create a parent class polygon with init function methodizes the number of sides as a data member, and then you have to take the input size and display side in a parent class. Okay, these two things are also present in the polygon, and this is taking the input from the user, this is displaying the to the user, right? These sides, and आपके पास ड्राइवर क्लास है rectangular pentagon which is having the base class as a polygon. यहाँ पे इन्होंने दिया है इनिट का है, जो आपका कंस्ट्रक्टर है वो नंबर ऑफ साइड्स पे डिपेंड करता है, राइट? सो लेट्स सी हियर फर्स्ट थिंग फर्स्ट, इन दोनों को इनहेरिटेंस बनाते हैं. सो आई विल से हियर पॉलीगन POLY GON POLY GON पॉलीगन, एंड यहाँ पे आई विल गिव हियर पॉलीगन POLY GON पॉलीगन, राइट? दैट्स इट. एंड यहाँ पे let's see how this will work, how this will behave. So since they are calling here init function, so I will call here init function. So I will see here def underscore underscore init underscore underscore, and this is self, right? That's it. And जो ये वाला init कर रहा है ना, वो क्या काम कर रहा है? It's taking the number of sides, right? Number of sides is having, like अगर rectangle है तो 3 sides, अगर वो है तो 4 sides. But वो हम decide कैसे करेंगे कि आप polygon इस वाली को कॉल कर रहे हो या पॉलीगन पेंटागन वाली को कॉल कर रहे हो, राइट? सो वो हम डिसाइड करें इस बेसिस पे ए पे. अगर ए हमारे पास 1 है तो हम क्या बोलेंगे नंबर ऑफ साइड्स इज 3. अगर हमारे पास ए 2 है तो हम क्या बोलेंगे नंबर ऑफ साइड्स इज 5. सो आई विल से हियर सेल्फ डॉट sides sides is equal to, oh sorry, what I will say here is I will say if a is equal to 1, this is one of the solution. There can be some other solutions as well. क्योंकि मैं लाइव कोडिंग कर रहा हूँ तो आई कैन थिंक ऑफ दिस एज वेल राइट नाउ. सो आई विल से सेल्फ डॉट साइड्स इज इक्वल टू 3, else I will say here self dot sel dot sides is equal to 5, right? तो यहाँ तो ये क्लियरिटी हो गई कि whether you are talking about the 3 side वाला or you are talking about the 5 side वाला, means you are talking about the rectangle or you are talking about the polygon, right? यहाँ तो ऐसे कर ले. Okay, maybe I can do this as well. Let's say I'm saying sides here. If this works, if this works, तो फिर हम ऐसे कर लेंगे. तो what I will say here is I will say self dot sides is equal to sides. That's it. Now here this is the thing. Now I will say here def, and def की जगह मैं क्या करूँगा यहाँ पे? So I will say here this input sides, and I will say here input sides sides, and here I will say self, which is not taking any input from here. You can see it from there as well. So ये क्या काम कर रहा है? इट इज़ टेकिंग द इनपुट फ्रॉम द यूज़र. सो यहाँ पे अब तो अगर 3 आप ले रहे हो तो अगर आप यहाँ पे वेरिएबल के हिसाब से जाओगे तो आपको लिखना है यहाँ पे साइड 1 टेक इनपुट, साइड 2 टेक इनपुट, साइड 3 टेक इनपुट. बट अगर 4 हुआ तो फिर वो डिसाइड आप कैसे करोगे, राइट? सो एक ही कोड रहेगा. तो इसके लिए मैं क्या करूँगा, मैं लिखूँगा इनपुट साइड अंडरस्कोर SID साइड. एक मैं यहाँ पे लिखूँगा, एक लिस्ट ले लूँगा. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम थिंकिंग अबाउट. एंड यहाँ पे मैं लिखूँगा फॉर आई इन रेंज range, एंड हियर आई विल से सेल्फ कॉमा सेल्फ क्यों लिखना है? सो आई विल से हियर सेल्फ डॉट sides sides, राइट? यहाँ पे मैं ये सोच रहा हूँ कि मैं ये कर लूँ. आई डोंट थिंक दिस विल वर्क. यहाँ वर्क करेगा, अगर करेगा तो ठीक है, अगर नहीं तो फिर देखते हैं. तो फिर वही करते हैं जो मैंने पहले दिखाया, ये फैल्स करके, राइट? 3 and 5 here, राइट? दिस इज गोइंग टू साइड्स, राइट? सो अगर 3 है तो वी विल टेक द 3 sides. फॉर आई इन रेंज 3 आई विल रन दिस फॉलो 3 times, एंड हियर आई विल से सिंपली si, let's say side we will be taking from the user, and I will say here int input, and if you can see here you have to say something like this, enter side 1, enter side 2, enter side 3, like that. So I will use the f string for that. I guess I have shown you in the class as well. Enter side, and one I will say here is sorry, if you can say here this I value initially, अगर यहाँ पे 3 है तो initial value of I is 0, so I will say here I plus 1, right? That's it, and space करके colon space, that's it, right? ये तो साइड से यहाँ से ले लेगा. जैसे आपका ये साइड है 55, तो ये मैं किस में रखूँगा, इस लिस्ट में. सो व्हाट आई विल से हियर इज इनपुट u2 put underscore side side dot append, and what I will append here is I will append here si, right? That's it. यहाँ से तो आ गया, तो अब हमें वो करना है आउटपुट डिस्प्ले साइड. सो आई विल से def disp display side as sides, and I will say here self, which is not taking any argument, and it will display the sides. So I will say here for I in range, directly I can say here self dot side as sides, right? And here what I will do is we have to print. So I will say okay, we have to print. I will say print, and f string यहाँ पे भी use होगा क्योंकि side 1 बोलना है हमें. So I will say here side, s is capital side, and here I will say 1 नहीं, I plus 1, and is space, and here since this is a list, we know here I value is 0, so initial value of I is 0, so I will go to the index 0, जो भी value होगा वो side मेरा 1 है. So I will say here self dot okay, अगर इसको ये बनाना है तो यहाँ पे मैं self dot बोलूँगा, ठीक है. and here I will say self dot input, self dot, या तो लिखा है why I am doing here you have to do is self dot input underscore side side, that is it. Let's see if you can run. No, it's not running. What is the error? Okay, it's missing the argument, तो वो गड़बड़ हो रहा है, right? So वो गड़बड़ हो रहा है यहाँ पे. So what I will do here is वही तरीका जो मैंने वहाँ पे ट्राई किया थी. I know this will not work, I guess. Okay, यहाँ पे मैं क्या लिखूँगा self, and यहाँ पे I will say here if a is equal to 1, अगर a 1 के बराबर है, so what I will do here is self dot side is equal to 3, right? और since a is a global variable, you can see here. यहाँ पे क्या लिखूँगा मैं else I will say self dot side is equal to 5. Let's hope this will execute. Line number invalid maybe. Index which line here? Line number 4. Okay, sorry, I have kept here equal to, it is equal to, right? That's it. And now one of the test cases passing, one are failing. Rectangle object has no attribute input side. Rectangle has no attribute input side. Input input sides. Okay, yes, side input under side dot append assign. This is correct. Why it is showing wrong? Let me check it, please. 1 second. Self dot sides. This is correct. Underscore side. Why it is throwing an error? C dot input side self. This is T dot side. This is correct according to me, but what is the error? A second. Okay, first input is taking, then it is not running the other these other things. It's not running pentagon. Sorry. Shadow input side is equal to this. Okay, let's do one thing here. So I will remove it from here, एंड इसको मैं यहाँ पे कर दूँगा सो दैट it can make like this. I will say self dot input put underscore side side is equal to one empty list. So I'll say here self that's it, self dot input side dot append si. This is correct. Self dot input, this is also correct, I guess. Still the same problem. Okay, this has been resolved. Now here we are getting the problem. It is inside of 1 is this 6. Oh, sorry, rectangle is having the 4 sides, it's not triangle. Sorry. Okay, this is clear now. Okay, यहाँ पे अब दिक्कत हो रही है. It is printing the whole list, but we have to print only the ith value, because I will be 0, then 1, then 2, like this, right? So if I submit it, now all test cases are passed. Okay, got it? So I hope you understood this question. अगर नहीं आ रहा है तो एक बार फिर से देख लो और ड्राई रन कर लो, and this will be great. Okay, thank you.